So today we're going to be solving an interesting problem in the area of money laundering. So money laundering is actually a major challenge, and a couple of regulatory authorities are trying to crack down on money launderers, illegal movement of funds from one account to another account, from one account to several accounts. So money laundering has several patterns. From velocity of the transaction, um, different other patterns. So you can research more around money laundering patterns. But we're going to be looking at this data set. We're going to build a model off from these data sets to predict if a new transaction coming into an organization is actually a suspicious transaction or not, if it's a fraudulent transaction or not. Good. Now, so we have a data set of about 2,339 rows and 7 columns. Type of action, cash in or cash out, source ID, destination ID. So this can be account numbers, this can be user IDs, this can be institution IDs, amount of money, the date that particular transaction had occurred, the type of fraud, the type of fraud based on what the organization has actually classified it to be, and if it is actually a fraud. Now, your data set might have some more column patterns. You want to bring it in. You want to look at the source country, the destination country. You want to look at the number of transactions that has been carried out in the last 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour. You want to look at the transaction pattern, how much is being moved. Okay, good word, tracking amount of money that is being moved. So there are some suspicious anti-money laundering transactions that has to do with moving like 999 if there's a limit of $1,000 to be moved, and many more. Or is the person is there KYC around that particular account, and when was that account created? So you want to bring in some more behavioral patterns when you are addressing a real world use case. This is also a real world use case, but for a reduced data set. The institution is not pushing out all of their information about the money laundering transaction that has been occurring on their premise. Good. So before we dive in building models, I'd like us to visualize this data. Firstly, we are going to leverage Autogon Ask Your Data, and we're going to tell the model, show me some interesting statistics from these data sets. Good. So Autogon has an interesting tool that converts your chart into interesting queries and visualizes those interesting insights from your data set. Good. So we can see type of action, type of action, source IDs, type of fraud is fraud. Okay, number of rows, number of column, total amount of money, number of fraud transactions, average amount of money by type of action. So cash in, we have this amount, transfer, we have this other amount of money. Data type is a float, number of transaction per month. So we can see these are the various months on the data set, and these are the number of transactions. Oh, this is beautiful. We can only save this. Good. We ask another question: is this data set balanced? So these are just simple ways to get interesting insights from your data sets. Good. So now the beautiful thing about this GPT, Autogon's GPT, so you can see it already shows you the categorical variable class count. So 1 has 1399 and 0 has 941. So at the ratio of 59 to 40 as to the percentage. So at the point, yes, we can say not 100% balanced, but yeah, it's balanced to a very good point. Good. We can ask one more question. We can say, show me a plot from this data set. Oh, beautiful. So we can already see this is for transfer and this is for cash in. So we can see that transfer this account transfer has much more activities than cash in. Okay, beautiful. So we're gonna we've explored the Axio data too. I would like us to explore the auto visualization to see some more interesting statistics and charts that we can visualize. Good. So I'm going to be playing more with the carvat plot. Okay, date and source ID, date and destination ID, date and amount of money. Okay, you can always download this and zoom it to begin to do some gathering some interesting insights. So I would like to look at is fraud and okay, amount of money. Okay, so this is not fraudulent, so we have more non-fraudulent transaction than fraudulent transaction. 0 means it's not fraud. 1 means it's a fraudulent transaction. Good. So let's dive real quick in building our model. So good. So we simply hop right to project and we'll create a project. I'll call it anti-money laundering, enter an interesting description, and we'll create a project. On Autogon AI, there are 2 ways you can build interesting machine learning models or AI models. So it's either you go through the no code, you go through the Auto ML route, which is the Studio Wizard, or you go through the no code AI IDE. That allows you to do a lot of drag and drop, a lot of flexibility, author your data sets, build as many machine learning algorithms or deep learning network off from your data set. But for this video tutorial, we are going to be looking at the Studio Wizard first. So we simply launch the Studio Wizard and we select existing data sets and we select anti-money laundering. So we'll give this some seconds to load up. Oh, great. So now from this data set we can already see the level of importance for each column. So we can see 33.6 for destination ID or level of importance, so meaning this region, this column, and this column, we should pay very important attention on each of these columns. Good. We can also see is fraud that we are trying to predict for, which is also the target variable, is a categorical variable type. So we'll just click on next, and when you're solving problems that have to do with the categorical variable type, you would be using classification. So training type, will select classification. Beautiful stuff. Now training target, we would select is fraud, and we can then enter anti-money laundering. Beautiful. So we click on a train. I'll give this some seconds to load up. Oh, beautiful. So our model learned of every single pattern and came up with an accuracy of 1, meaning it predicted every single thing on the data set correctly. So meaning it's a very highly accurate model. Beautiful. So we can see the confusion matrix. Yes, we can see the confusion matrix, and if you now check out the feature of importance, so we can see type of fraud actually contributes the most important to what we are trying to predict for, and which is fraud. Beautiful. So I'm going to show us how to inference our model. So when you want to inference your model, so we can inference our model right on this page by clicking on prediction. We can inference our model by going through Autogon Quick Predict on the portal. I'm going to show you shortly. And we can inference our model from our back office through an API, which I'm also going to be showing us shortly. So good. If we visualize this data set, beautiful. We're going to pick a particular transaction, and we would inference that transaction to determine if it's going to be a fraudulent transaction or a non-fraudulent transaction. Good. So I already have the data set opened on this page, and so when you are trying to inference on Autogon AI, good, you can do a batch inferencing. If you have an existing bulk data set, you can do a batch inferencing, which works on Autogon. Good. But for this, we're going to be inferencing a single record based off of this existing data set. So let's say we pick, there was a transfer transaction, source ID, destination ID, and this was the amount, this was the date, and this was the time of the transaction, and the fraudulent the fraud type is actually of type 2. And was it a fraudulent transaction? Yes. Good. The institution actually classified it. But for us to inference this particular data set, we would pick just this, not picking what the institution has actually classified it as. And we take this to Autogon Quick Predict through the API. Yes, there are APIs you could use in creating a test data set on the fly. We click on create data set, we paste this here, we select dimension 1, and we generate a data set. We copy this data set and we come straight here and paste the data set on this test data region, and we click on predict. And beautiful, we can already see that Autogon actually predicted that this is a fraudulent transaction, and this is the value 1, and the prediction accuracy is actually 1.0, meaning this model is actually very confident that this transaction is a fraudulent transaction. Beautiful. We are going to predict one more transaction that is not a fraudulent transaction. So we'll pick this, cash in, and we navigate straight here, create a data set, select one dimension, copy the data set, and we come straight here, paste it, and we predict. And our model came up with a prediction label of 0 and a 1.0. It is very certain that this transaction is a fraudulent transaction. 1.0 is also 100% accuracy. This transaction is not a fraudulent transaction. So beautiful. We have our model working very accurately. We've seen the statistics and the charts, and we've also seen the accuracy of the model. We can then go ahead to create a pipeline. So we create a pipeline when we are wanting to inference our model even out of Autogon AI via our back office or our API. So straight away, I'll call this AML underscore pipeline underscore wizard. You can use any name here, and I'll create the pipeline. And this is beautiful. Good stuff. So I'll copy this data set so I can reuse it, and I'll exit, select quick predict, select. So this is one way you can inference your model via your pipeline. You select the project, you select the model that was generated off from the project, and we insert our input link. That this is a data set we actually generated to inference our model. We click on run model, select the pipeline, and we select the pipeline we just created, and we click on predict. And beautiful stuff, it actually predicts a 0, so meaning this transaction is not a fraudulent transaction. We can actually select another transaction. This is of a type 3 and all of this information, and we come right here and we create a data set from here, copy the data set, go on to the next tab, and we update this link of the data set, and we run, select our pipeline, and we click on predict again. Okay, so it looks like we copied something wrongly. We're supposed to copy this from here, not with this extra comma. Yes, my fault. And create a data set and enter one dimension, create this out, we copy and come to this other side, and we update the link, run model, select the pipeline, and we click on predict. And beautiful stuff, it actually came up with a 1, meaning this transaction is a fraudulent transaction. Beautiful stuff. Oh, now we can also inference this model from our postman, from our back office. So by selecting the project, we can see the pipeline we've actually created. All you just need to do is copy the pipeline, and I'll navigate to my postman, and here this is the postman API request to inference your model. I just simply update the pipeline here. Beautiful. And let's quickly get the data set we generated. I'll copy the generated data set, and I'll bring it straight and update the data set that has been passed, and I hit on the inference button, on the send button, and beautiful, we already have our prediction. And if I open this prediction URL and I send this, I can see that this transaction is actually a fraudulent transaction. Oh, I can go ahead straight to my back office and call Autogon's API, call my pipeline that I've created, and always pass data sets that I need to pass.